We hear so much about how Canada has fared pretty well, and often people say, well, it's regulation. What specific regulations have protected Canada, and regulations that maybe other countries could learn from?
Well, often, as is often the case, it's the simplest things. We had a rule that our banks could only have a certain amount of debt for every amount of equity they had. Quite remarkably, other countries didn't do that. They didn't do it on a basic way. They allowed the bankers to calculate how many assets they actually had on a risk-weighted basis. So they would do complicated calculations and then adjust their amount of equity accordingly. Just to give you a number, they would get up to 50 to 1 assets to equity, whereas our guys were restricted to 20 to 1 or 17 to 1. 50 to 1 means you only have to lose about 2% on the underlying assets before you don't have any equity. And in some cases, in the UK and in continental Europe, it was even higher.
You know, so this is one of those things where you have to kind of, you're asking countries and organizations that don't love regulation to kind of step up and put a lot of regulation in. Have you been going out there lobbying on behalf of this?
We lobbied on behalf of that, and actually we got that put in place in global regulation. So that's going to happen in all countries starting from 2015. That's good news. So the global system is becoming more Canadian. But even the Canadian system has to change, and this is one of the key objectives here, is to make banking, to make finance like any other industry. You know, if your ratings drop, God forbid, and they're probably dropping right now as I speak, but if your ratings,
I got my $100, so I don't care.
You know? if your ratings drop, you know, it has consequences. If you run a small business, if you run a family farm, if you make a mistake, you'll go out of business. You run a large bank, you have to be rescued because you'll have such bigger impacts on the rest of the system. That doesn't make sense. And so there's a variety of things that are being put in place, being designed so that banking can be like any other business. If you succeed, you get rewarded, but if you fail, your institution fails, and the rest of the economy continues to go on.